Hello, Nick. Thanks for your letter, your email. Yeah, sure. I'd love to send you a copy of my book. I noticed on Twitter the other night you were saying you wished you could learn to play stride piano. I'd love to help you if you'd like. My very, very first recommendation is go out and get this. Eric Satie, 3 Geomopedesias. I have the Calmus edition. The Calmus editions are the better editions. I'm afraid the Sherman editions are the Hall editions are the Calmus are the very best edition, and also Peters edition. If you want to get Chopin, please get the Peters edition. They're hard to find, I know, but the first thing with the Geomopedesias is I suggest you start here with the second piece. The second piece, see if that camera will clear up enough. As you can see, it is basically stride piano at its finest. And Satie is doing something here. He's taking some very simple chord foundations or formations here in the left hand, which allow the stride piano to happen. Just get those and try them, and you'll see what I mean. 2 secrets to stride piano that I know. Well, 3 secrets actually. The first secret is when I was a young kid, I ran across this how to play organ, in 3 lessons or less, and they had what is known as a pointer system. In the pointer system, if you take a C chord, C, E, G, and play the first inversion, E, G, C, then play the second inversion, G, C, E, what happens is your index finger is pointing at the root. And if you use that second inversion of the chord, where your finger is always pointing at the root, you can play a C chord, D minor, E minor, F, G, etc., etc., and so what happens is the finger always pointing at the root, they call that the pointer system. And you'll see that reaching down and hitting a C and then coming up and playing the second inversion, you can just point at that C, ta-da, and you've got that chord. Go down and hit a G, come up, point at the G in front of you, ta-da, you've got that chord. That also means love, rock and roll, Satan. This hand position, even if if you broke your hand and you had a cast, you can play pointer method on the organ. And being able to point with your finger at the root of the chord and grabbing that second inversion is the first secret to being able to play stride piano. You can reach way down 2 octaves, 3 octaves below, hit your root note, hold the pedal, come up and point, boom, and you got that chord. You'll notice when you look at the Saties that he's using the pointer method, but what he's doing is he's using this finger and this finger and this finger. In other words, you take the guitar finger, the guitar player's favorite finger, and pull it back, and what you use is the index finger to point at the root of the chord, the thumb plays the third of the chord, the ring finger plays the fifth, and then you can reach down with your pinky and grab the third. And by putting the third here and the third here, he's doubling the third of the chord. And if you look through the whole piece, he's doubling the third of the chord. By adding that 2/3 into the chord, he creates a chalkier, a more pastel, softer quality sound to the chord. And wherever you double the thirds, you'll get that chalky quality. A lot of jazz musicians will play 5 here, play root, third, and fifth here, and they'll double the fifth. And if you put the fifth on the bottom, you double the fifth, then you get a harsher, more tension within the major chord. That's the most tense version of that, and it becomes more thermal and moves around a little bit more. Personally, I don't like that sound that much. But what Satie's doing is he's using the pointer method and using the ring finger and then putting the third and doubling the thirds and getting those beautiful, beautiful, chalky, soft, Maxwell Parrish type sounds. So that's the first thing you'll see when you're learning that piece. Another thing to do to approach playing the piece, the quickest way I know is play the root and then the melody, and the root and the melody, and the root and the melody, and leave the chords out altogether. You can get through the song very quickly that way, and by balancing the bass hand with the treble hand, you can get a really nice tonal balance, and you're playing dotted half notes, you know, through the whole piece practically. Easy peasy, can be done in one afternoon that way. Then the next day, sit down and play the chords. And what you do is play the melody and then block in the chord. The melody, block in the next chord. Melody, block in the and drop the root altogether. Don't play the root. So, like a jazz musician who plays the root and then what we call the third and seventh, the shell, you're learning to play the shells or do piano comping. And if you comp on those chords, you can hit that chord and you can just play it like a cocktail bar piano player, just playing those chords, and you can get that hand in that shape to get your hand on those chords, and you can play through the whole piece dropping the root until you get the hand coordination between the right hand and the left hand together and get that formation or shape in those chords. And it takes about another day to pull those chords together. Some people it takes a couple days to pull those chords together, and just learning to get that down. Then the next day I suggest you hit the bass, play the chord, hit the bass, play the chord. If you want to get a little bit more advanced with the technique, another thing is to play the bass, hit the chord, and then move down a half step. So instead of boom, ching, boom, ching, boom, ching, which Satie's doing, you can kind of turn it into a piano bar thing by going boom, ching, chom, boom, ching, chom, boom, ching, chom, boom, ching, chom. And then you're just playing the E minor and F chord, E minor, F chord, E minor, F chord, E minor, F chord, which is most of the whole beginning of that piece. Later goes D minor, A minor, so again, you're just playing basically 3-4, 3-4, 3-4. Later it goes 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, 2-5 through the piece, 2-6, 2-6, around some very simple interval patterns that he's moving the chord around on. Later, the same hand position, of course, can go, you'll hold that G down with your thumb, and then instead of playing the C and the E there, you move down a half step and play B flat and E flat, and you'll see those chords come up in the middle of the piece, just changing the scenario a little bit, and then they go right back to that E minor, F major again, over and over. That second piece will get your hands in the right position, help you get the stride together. If you play the bass and then the treble, the bass and the treble, and then later fill chords, treble, fill chords, treble, fill chords, and then later chord, half step, chord, half step, chord, half step, you'll develop all the coordination necessary to approach stride piano. Now the first piece, the first Geomopadesia, is just beautiful. It's gorgeous, and the chords are a little bit more variations, but you'll see that they're still based on that basic pointer system hand thing. And the last piece, I think that's the one that the Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the Chicago band, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, popularized and made popular. And I think it's this. I think it's the last piece. Let me take a quick look here at the melody. Da 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 da. No, it's not the. Sorry, it's been a while since I've been in here. Da 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 da. So the first one is the one that Blood, Sweat, and Tears did and popularized. Everybody in the world has heard Geomopadesia 1. Geomopadesia 2 is the simplest one harmonically. The variations that it has going on in the second half of the piece on the next page are very nice little variations using minor, changing the C chord to a minor chord, changing the F to F minor, etc., etc., and basically D, E flat, D minor, E flat, D minor, E flat, A diminished, G minor, F, blah, 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 blah. So pretty easy peasy. And then, of course, it comes back at the end for that lovely, lovely little resolution to the C chord at the end. Geomopodesia 3 is actually, it's quite lovely. I like what he's doing with the chords in the middle. The inner voices in the middle of the piece are quite interesting. And he's doing one of those things, my favorite thing, where you hit a note, boom, and then hit a chord, and then the next chord resolves the melody note. So the melody note seems slightly out of tune, then you hit a chord and boom, the melody note. Or you do this thing where you hit that note, you hit a bass note, you hold that note, and then the next bass note resolves the chord, creating a suspension. So the last piece, he uses this technique of the suspension. All right, to not make a long video longer, the other thing is there's a thing in jazz music known as the crab. The crab is mechanically the easiest way to go from a 2 chord to a 5, from D minor, let's say, to a G chord, where what you do is you start with every other note. So let's say we're playing F, A, C, E, F, A, C, E. So now you have your F major 7th chord, and what you do is you take the two top fingers and you collapse them down one thing till you wind up with the second inversion of the chord, and again the pinky now points at the root. Then what you do is you leave those two notes there on the thumb and the index finger, and you move over the ring finger and the pinky finger over, or just move them down over 2 notes. And then what happens is you wind up back in root position with the root pointing from the pinky, and you wind up on the so you go from the 4 chord to the 7 chord to the 3 chord to the 6 chord to the 2 chord to the 5 chord to the 1 chord to the 4 chord. And if you do that where you're open, then collapse, open, collapse, it's kind of like, Spock. It's kind of like doing that. That what is that, Spock piece? And if you can do that, you can do it. So you start with your hand, every other note, the 2 top fingers come down, and now you've crabbed into the second inversion. The 2 bottom fingers move out. Now you're back into first inversion, pinky pointing at the root, crab in. Now the index is pointing at the root, and you have that second inversion of the 4-note chord. You then open your hand out. And what you're doing is demonstrated this way. You're going boom, ching, 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 and your hand moves across the keyboard like a crab walks sideways, which is where it gets the word crab from. Try a D minor, every other note. All right, play your D, your F, your A, your C, boom, and then collapse your hand in so you've got the D and the F are still there, but you move these 2 fingers down to the G and the B, and now you're playing your 5 chord, your 5 dominant chord. Then what you do is you leave the G and the B right there, and you move the other 2 fingers down to C and E, and what you wind up with is in first position, you've got the C major 7th chord. And you can keep doing that to the 4 chord, bomb, set, and just walk, and you can walk on or crab on down. And what you're doing is actually what jazz musicians call it 2-2-5, 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, 2-5, very simple mechanical motion. Now the reason I mention that is that's good for stride. When you're playing stride, the most important thing is to figure out a way to re-harmonize the chords or respell the chords so your wrist stays right here in front of your belly button. So if your wrist can do all the chords, you can move your hand around in whatever position is necessary to get all the chords in one hand position right here, that's the secret to stride. You reach down, grab your root, come up, grab your D minor chord. Reach down, hit the G, crab in for the G chord. Reach down, hit your C, open your hand up for the C chord. Reach down, hit the F, crab your hand in for the F. Reach down, hit the B, open your hand up for the B diminished. Down, hit the E, crab your hand in for the E minor. And you can just keep doing that and crab, crab, crab. And you can move through about 6 or 7, you can go through 6 keys, I believe, through half the circle of fifths by just crabbing and not move any more than about 5 inches on the keyboard. And that's another one of the main secrets to doing that. By using the first and the second inversion of any 4-note chord, your wrist will keep coming back to the same place. Go down, reach, boom. Go down, reach, second inversion. Reach, first inversion. Reach, second inversion. Reach, first inversion, second inversion. And the wrist won't move around very much. So it's just a matter of taking whatever chord you want and respelling them through the inversions so the wrist stays as close to the belly button as possible. In no time at all, you'll be able to boom, 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 and it'll happen. You'll see it all right here. For any classical musician out there that wants to learn to play stride piano, get Sati. Namaste. Have a good one. Nice talking at you. Catch you later. Bye-bye.